to look at all of the three major religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam, listen to their claims. You've got to listen so you can understand it, right? Claims of fact, evidence, pull it apart, do personal research to determine are they the real deal or full of shite, and expose them as such is my mission, or our mission, destiny on earth. We've come across different things that say this and say that, and they're all saying the same thing. So yeah, we know our purpose. We already knew our purpose, or our mission, destiny, whatever. But it's just like the fear sets in. Oh, we're going to get ridiculed, going to get hassled, all that sort of stuff. But we don't care anymore. We'll do it. We'll get out there. We just need the prompting and to kick up the bum and get out there and do it. It's hard because there's just too much info for one group to have it all. No one's got it all. No one's got all the answers, or certain parties, As much as they might say, yeah, we know it all. We got all the information. No way. It's just too much to to look at. There's so many different variations, so many claims, so many misquotes, mistranslations, false claims, whatever. Yeah, so it's like a sift, right? You've got to sift everything through this special sift and be left with the true product. Discard or throw away the other rubbish, right? That people are trying to convince you. Okay, because like kung fu masters who won't reveal their secrets to their students or just anyone, because one day they may kick their butt using it, or totally mess it up, and go out there and teach it totally wrong, and God, every student gets a hiding because they didn't know it in the first place, didn't know it, in the first place. Okay, or other stylists kung fu is crap all over it. Or in the case of religion, others will want to tear it. This is probably a better analogy. Or in the case of religion, others will want to tear it to shreds to disprove it. They want to debunk it. That's their whole mission. And promote their own. And others might want to promote their own, or defame or shite all over the opposition in order to be the top church, religion, or movement, and push their hidden motives, agendas, rendering, flavour, twist, dogmas, doctrines, propaganda. And these who do this are propagandists. That's what they are, right? They got hidden motives and agenda, i.e. they're propagandists. They're pushing their crap, trying to convince you in order to control you, etc., etc. Right? So that's one basically. So now we're going to go to the other video, because there's a few more comments from the same person, but just under another video at the same time. He was messaging us over here in the comments, right? So some of them might not be there. And he said something about racist or something. What if all these racists are actually right? So he put, what happens if these people that we keep calling racists are right? Well, our answer was, what if they are? Where is the real evidence that they are 100%, if not 1000% right? The racism is latent in the guy's book, right? It comes through the book, plus his peers, etc. Right? Those who have the same qualification as he, supposedly his expertise, whatever. Okay, so then the Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians would be right about aliens creating all things and dwelling among them. Hitler and his Aryan stance belief would be right without any question, and racism is the truth. So his Nazi generals shouldn't have been put on trial and sentenced to death, as they were the perfect race superior to all others. You've got a definition of racism. We deliberately separated it. Ism, defined. This dictionary website. Ism, practice, process, manner of action or behaviour, characteristic of a specified person or thing. Prejudice or discrimination on the basis of a specified attribute. Remember Bob Marley's song? I think it's Stand Up For Your Rights with Peter Tosh, and he says, sings, we're sick and tired of ism schisms, don't go to heaven in ism schism, and that's what he's talking about. The ism schisms, the prejudice or discrimination, right, coming through against them, black people, etc., right, the Easterns, by these Westerns, right, through these scriptures, etc., like that. They can see it, this bias, this racism, out there in the world. They can see that and feel that racism, right? Okay. Wikipedia. Racism is the belief, which should be the, I think. I don't know, I'm too sure what it is. Racism is the belief that a group of humans possess different behavioural traits corresponding to inherited attributes and can be divided based on the superiority of one race over another. It may also mean prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against other people because they are of a different race or ethnicity. Right? Here's some more. The meaning of racism is the belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Also, behavioural attitudes that reflect and foster this belief, racial discrimination or prejudice. Again, here's the Aryan race, definition of that. Yeah. So what does this mean and indicate? This guy, this writer of this book, favoured one race supreme. He was biased, prejudiced, a racist. He hints in his book his biased, prejudiced views. Okay, very subtly though, by the looks of it. The isoformism of race, culture and language has been rejected as an erroneous conception by modern scholars. His isomorphism of race, right, within that book, within his writings. The term was adopted by various racists, as well as all that's in the world, right? The term was adopted by various racist and anti-Semitic writers during the 19th century, including Arthur D. Gobineau, Richard Wagner, and Houston Stewart Chamberlain, whose scientific racism influenced later Nazi racial ideology. By the 1930s, the concept had been associated with Nazism and Nordicism, okay, and used to support the white supremacist ideology of Aryanism, which portrayed the Aryan race as a master race, with non-Aryans as racially inferior and unter Mensch, and an existential threat to be exterminated. Under Nazi rule, these ideas formed an essential part of the state ideology that led to the Holocaust, which in the Aramaic means sacrifice. Okay. The term Aryan was used as an ethno-cultural self-designative identity of the Indo-Iranians and the authors of the oldest known religious texts of Rig Veda, and apparently they're not the oldest. Okay, if the Egyptian text translated by A.W. Wallace Budge, and he states they were the oldest, then they can't be. These Indian religious texts of Rig Veda and Avesta can't be the oldest. Okay. And it's talking about Indo-European language family, Sanskrit and Iranian, who lived in ancient India and Iran. Okay, when did this Rig Veda come out, right? Many Indians say, 3,000 years ago. Oh, no, 5, no, 10, a million years ago, right? Don't think so, okay? If these people didn't exist in the time of Noah, there's only 8 people on the planet, I don't think so, okay? If that's a fact, right? Or those later descendants. They had to branch out. These people, according to the scriptures, branched out first, and then became those people, right? Okay. So there would be some sort of time frame. You can only go back 5,000 years. Yeah, chronologically, that's what we found. Okay. It goes on about the Sanskrit, etc. Okay. What's this? The now discredited and chronological reconstruction North European hypothesis was endorsed by such scholars who situated the PIE, or Pi homeland, in northern Europe, which led to the association of Proto-Indian Europeans. Oh, that's what it means. Originally a hypothesized linguistic population of Eurasian PIE, Aryan then came to be applied to this racial grouping. In many cases, scholars point out that even in ancient times, the Aryan identity as asserted in the Rig Veda was cultural, religious and linguistic, not racial. Nor do the Vedas contemplate racial purity. The Rig Veda affirms a ritualistic barrier. An individual is considered Aryan if they sacrifice to the right gods, which requires performing traditional prayer in a traditional language and does not connotate a racial barrier. So there you go. Michael Witzel states that term Aryan does not mean a particular people or even a particular racial group, but all those who had joined the tribes speaking Vedic, Sanskrit, and adhering to their cultural norms, such as ritual, poetry, etc. Scholars state that the historical Aryans, the Vedic period Bronze Age tribes who lived in Iran, Afghanistan, and the northern Indian subcontinent, composers of the Rig Veda and Avesta, were unlikely to be blonde or blue-eyed, contrary to the proponents of Aryanism and Nordicism. Okay, so it's a load of crap, right? It's false. His peers, this writer's peers stated, the reader does not need to peruse this work very far to become aware of its distinct bias, okay, emphasis on bias here, and unscientific method. Fortunately, the Nordic racemongers have become discredited that there is little to fear from the effect of this opus on the intelligent lay public. Succinctly, Mr. Waddell believes that the beginning of all civilization dates from the Nordic Aryan Sumerians, who were blonde Nordics with blue eyes. Waddell, during his own life, was deemed to be anachronistic by most scholars because of his supremacist views regarding the Aryan race. One of the reasons for the literary oblivion of Waddell's works on the history of civilization with an Aryan theme is, I'm not too sure what that word is, it's in parenthesis by the look of it, in relation to the fact that he did not give up the quest for the Aryans in terms of racial origins when it was abandoned in the 1870s, and it was further influential in his choice of career. His comparative studies and decipherment led him to a completely controversial and alternate perspective of Asian history. Furthermore, the titles that are now little known may have been sidelined due to his use of the term Aryan as it became associated with the rise of Nazism. Again, we go on about ruddy. If a Bible-believing Christian, I'd say check out the word for ruddy. Okay. So I think he did, and he came back at us and says, no, that's not the meaning of it. Damn, the definition says, this is what it means. Okay. Ruddy, definition of or having a fresh, healthy red colour, a ruddy complexion. Encyclopedia, Standard Bible Society. Okay. Here's the word here. In Hebrew, how do you say that? Adhomoni. Samuel 16:12, 17:42, Genesis 25:25. The Revised Version margin, that's Americanized Bible version, right? Adhom, Song of Solomon 5:10. Verbs adham, Lamentations 4:7, and urethrial, to blush, whatever that is. Is that Ecclesiastes? Not really sure. 15:5. Ruddy is the form taken by the adjective red when used as a term of praise of the human skin, and this is its use in the Bible. The Hebrew and Greek words are all usual words for red or to be red. The dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion. Realize the hot sun beating down someone in warm to hot climates, especially in hot desert regions, etc., makes one dark or darker. Yeah. Okay. Many examples out there. And he goes on about, how about the sapphire overlay, mentioned on only his parts, described as alabaster or ivory. You don't think it's a visible vein seen as particularly pale people? Okay. Well, we looked at this book. I've got the name of it. You've got the name of it. Might have mentioned it on another one. Not the other one, the other videos. The Jew one, right? What we're actually reading by this lady. What's her name? J. Cheryl. Is Azum or Kazum or something like that. And it seemed like when she was going on about Solomon and the dark black lady from Kedar, his potential lover. It spent a lot of time seeing him through her eyes, and it was hinting at poetry, romance, love, sensuality. It's all allegorical, metaphorical, that sort of stuff. She's saying weird things, actually the poet, because apparently he's a third person, right, was saying weird things like, my lover makes my lettuce moist, or something like that, referring to different parts of her anatomy, all this sort of stuff. But yeah, we realised it was allegorical, metaphorical, very sexual, etc. in part. And then it finally got to Solomon, and it described him, but it's all allegorical, metaphorical, right? She's, through her eyes, she's seeing him as, or comparing him to, right? Okay? He's pretty muscly, he's pretty strong, all this sort of stuff, right? Etc. It's not saying that he's got two legs like a pillar, or pillars of gold, or arms of gold, or like crowbars or something like that. It's not saying all that sort of stuff, right? It's just like a poet, a person's writing it, like a poetic writer or whatever. He's writing it all down, right? All that sort of stuff. But it's like poetry between two lovers, or poems between two lovers, affection for the other one. One sees the other one, in that light, and the other one sees that one in that light, and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, but it's all metaphorical, allegorical, and he's got the Hebrew and all that sort of stuff, meanings, Yeah, it took 206 pages before it got into the detail of Solomon, right? We downloaded it. It was free online. Okay, so basically this guy was saying, "Oh, you said this, you said that," and he was twisting it. So we backed it up and says, "No. We said this, we said that." The translator, wrote this, stated this, all that sort of stuff. We didn't say that the Anunnaki created the Neanderthal man, all that sort of stuff. As we said earlier, not so long ago in this video, this guy stole the spaceship. He came to this planet and he saw that there were all these beings on the planet, i.e. these Neanderthal men, right? Etc. etc. So this person says, I need to see all this evidence from these mythical books, etc. etc. So we're going to look at that, not today, but maybe later. But yeah, hopefully this isn't too long and you found it interesting. Okay, what kind of people you're up against. See, we weren't too sure whether this guy was a Hebrew Israelite, coming at us, because this video here, right, being centered around these US Hebrew Israelites, etc. Right? Okay, so he did some prying a little bit on his channel and found him to be Irish. Okay, so if you like it, subscribe, add your comment below, give us a thumbs up, and we'll catch you later.